It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
A new week of podcasts, at least it is for me when I'm recording this, and it's a great week because NBA playoffs start this week. Let's go. Tuesday night, it's the Western Conference Finals play-in tournament kickoff. And then the Eastern Conference play-in tournament kicks off on Wednesday night. Screw the Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference, you stink. No one's interested in it except fans of the actual teams until the second round and third round will be good of the Eastern Conference playoffs. But, excuse me, those teams aren't great. Western Conference, on the other hand, oh my gosh, let's go. Buckle up. It starts Tuesday, and it's just off with a bang. I mean, we've got big-time teams, big-time superstar names, battling it out all month long. The Western Conference playoffs are going to be insane. I'm so stinking excited for them. Will the Nuggets probably come out victorious? Probably, but it's going to be fun to watch them get there. Okay, today on the podcast, Dalton's coming on, my good buddy Dalton. You heard him at the intro of the show. He's the guy who voices the very beginning of the show every episode. We're going to catch up on radio stuff. Let's tell some radio stories. Good ones, bad ones, good things that have happened, bad things that would happen, things we liked, things we didn't like, things we did we shouldn't have done. We're going to do radio stories with Dalton today. Also on today's podcast, Kelly's What Are You Into? What was the hippity hap for the family this weekend? What did we get into on a Saturday morning? We will tell you more about that, but let's start the podcast off with a shout out to my son and my daughter. I'm trying to figure out how I want to maneuver this one because I got something for both of them. My daughter and I do a thing where we do battles, and she wants to get her characters, her little toys, her figurines, and she wants to battle them. And so today, or I guess it was this weekend, but I don't remember if it was Friday night or Saturday night. Must have been Friday night. We did battle of, that was helpful for everybody, just so you know. But it was Disney princesses and a couple Mickey Mouse characters against Paw Patrol. So I had Paw Patrol, she had the Disney characters. And of course, as all the battles go, she is invincible. All of her characters have ice power, fire power, lightning power, power. They're amazing. My characters couldn't kill an ant. They're terrible. I'll knock one of her characters over, and suddenly they're revived from death. And then they breathe on me. Excuse me. They breathe on me, and I'm my whole team is toast. So she crushes me every time in these battles. But we were battling, and we were talking about the characters, and we got to Ariel, and she had mentioned Ariel is a scary movie. And I didn't realize my daughter had watched The Little Mermaid. But yeah, Little Mermaid's terrifying to a 4-year-old, just like Aladdin. Ariel has Ursula. And Ursula and Jafar do the same thing. They're terrifying villains. They both get really big and oversized at the end of the movie, and there's thunder and lightning around them, and they're super creepy. So, yeah, it does. She's very scared of Ursula. And I thought, Ursula's very scary to a kid. To an adult, I started thinking about it. I was like, hey, Ursula, I could probably go for a little Ursula in my life. And here's why I say that. This week, well, this last 2 weeks, we've had a SpongeBob uprising in my house. I mentioned that, but not just all of SpongeBob. One specific part of SpongeBob, a song from an episode where SpongeBob is delivering a pizza for Krusty Krab pizza. He sings this song. Krusty Krab, pizza. This is a big song for our family. That's SpongeBob singing it. Here is my son singing that exact same song. That's my son's real voice. That is his real singing voice. That is him in a great mood. That is what his voice sounds like. So you hear it when he's happy. Now imagine that when he's not happy. And when he's whining and he's mad and he wants his oatmeal and the oatmeal isn't cooling fast enough. His tone in a whiny cry is mentally crippling. It's one of the hardest things of my life, battling through that kid's tone while he's crying. It's debilitating, okay? And so I look at Ursula as an adult now, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I could probably go for Ursula showing up to our front door and stealing my kid's voice for a couple days and then I'm in for whatever the paycheck would be for that. And then she comes back. I mean, what do you want? Blank check. Here you go, Ursula. Thank you for 3-4 days of respite. But I do love my son. That voice is brutal. I do love my son, but I've got a newfound respect for Ursula. So when I rewatch that movie, I'm going to consider things from maybe King Triton's side of everything and go, you know what? Maybe if we read between the lines and we really look into it, the dude just needed a break. Dude just needed one less kid voice. He's like, yo, Ursula, come out here, steal my daughter's voice. I need it. I need a moment. I've got 50,000 daughters swimming around here. Can at least one of them stop talking for a second? Kids. Am I right? I mean, come on. I need to film him when he's not. I feel bad burying him when he's down. So I don't want to record him when he's in a bad mood. But that dude's voice, when he cries, it is wild. All right, so shout out to Ursula. You're now like I now get it. I get it on this side of the veil. Let's get to Dalton, shall we? Fun talking to him. Here he is. Dalton, it has been too long since I have had you on the podcast.
Yeah, it's probably been even longer since I've seen you in person.
It's been forever. It's been absolutely forever. You are the guy. This is the voice of the man who does the intro to the podcast. So thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you for still using it.
Absolutely. I will continue to use it. I'm realizing now as I do the video, I need to focus not on the video and more on the talking because that's what this is. But my video's background or backwards is reversed on mine. And so it's tripping me out. Oh, that's trippy. I was looking behind me like, wait a second, that's not supposed to be there. Well, it's not there. Okay, Dalton, I have many things I want to talk to you about. We worked in radio together, and I don't know if I'll be able to find this comment from this guy, Steve, that I wanted to have. He had commented on one of the episodes saying, hey, miss you in Spokane, glad to have the podcast, whatever. Hey, thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
But he had mentioned the radio thing, and he said, are you doing anything like that in Kentucky? It's actually funny because you and I just talked about the fact we have both looked into radio in other places. Dalton worked in radio in Spokane with me. Mm-hmm. And it's just the weirdest. It's the weirdest industry, dude.
It's hard. It's really hard.
And you're really good
somewhere.
At it. Yeah, Dalton's really, really good at it. If a radio station was smart in Florida, they would hire you because you can do everything in the building. There's nothing you cannot do, but it's not that easy. So to Steve, no, I'm not doing anything like that in Kentucky. I believe I'm pretty much retired from it, Dalton. So this is my outlet for that, which I love. But we had some good times in radio. I do believe we had some good times in radio. We lived through we were at the end of the fun radio era, I believe.
I think so. I think I miss it more than I don't. Yeah. It's pretty 50-50, but I'd say I miss things more than I don't miss things, you know?
I mean, there were some things, I don't know, I don't want to get into the things that stunk about radio. Maybe we'll do that in a little bit. But we had some fun things in radio that I loved. I will tell you, you will go down in my 20 years of working in radio. You are easily in the 5 people. If I named 5 people just at random that I loved working with, you're easily in the top 5. You made work so much fun at the radio station, Dalton.
I'll even put you in my top 3. How about that?
Okay, I'll put you in my top 3. I'm fine with that. I don't even if you're gonna push comes to shove. We had a really good time, and we had a group when Dalton worked at the building. We had a group of people who. I was still youngish when you started. I was in my probably mid-30s, maybe even early 30s. So I still had a little bit of youth to me. You were just in your early 20s, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had a good squad of people who worked in our promotions department, which is what you start in kind of. If you start in radio, you start working promotions, working events. We had a good group of people, and it made that building very lively and fun and troublesome.
Every day. Any combination of people you're working with, you can get into trouble.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
We had good weekends. We had good weekdays. We had good events. I will say mid-2000s Dalton was better than what we were doing in the mid 2010s. It was really fun, but we went a little bit harder in the paint in the mid-2000s when I was there, but that was, I think, just the changing of the times. But I will tell you, I think it all went downhill for us when I'm going to blame Paige. When Paige left, Paige was throwing parties at her house. Paige and Dane were throwing parties at their house.
She was.
And when she left, I think she did one more party, and then that was it. And then you got promoted. Heidi got promoted. Craig, remember Craig?
Yeah.
Craig
How
left.
could I forget?
Yeah, Craig left. And so when that happened, I felt like you got a little bit more big time. Heidi moved out of the fun time. We would still see her on the weekends out about downtown, but she wasn't coming to like the parties anymore. And I think that kind of killed it. So I blame Paige for the end of the era.
It really was. Yeah. Thanks, Paige.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
And now she's got kids and, a husband and a house she made over. And yeah.
She had some good parties. They had some really
she's
good
a
parties.
real adult. She's a real adult.
Yeah,
at this
she
point.
is. She is. I think she might still work for Numerica. I'll give him a shout out because I'm not in Washington, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, we can't use them.
I know her husband Dane was the man. It still is the man. He's like a doctor or something crazy like that. They're not the. They've outdone the probably throwing parties at their house for us to come through and ruin their house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They have like wine get-togethers now, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Now I want to tell some stories, some radio stories, because people I think have enjoyed radio stories. Do you have a good radio story, Dalton? Something that you will always remember from your time working at the building? I mean, you worked for 96.9, the hip hop station.
Yeah.
You worked for Rock 94.5. You were the midday guy slinging whatever kind of music, whatever kind of devil music you played.
Yeah, lots of devil stuff. Man, I don't know. The one that always sticks out to me, no matter what, was like our drive-through experience. Do you remember that?
When we sent you to the drive-through, the coffee stand?
Yes. And you hid in my back seat underneath a blanket.
We got in a lot of trouble for that.
We did.
I
you guys got in more trouble than I did.
Yeah, I got in a meeting. So tell everyone, because I loved doing this, and you were, Dalton, this is one of the reasons I loved working with you. You were a very good sport with all of this fun stuff. You understood radio. You understood the radio part of it, where it's kind of a show, and it's not. You have to. It's theater of the mind. You have to do some goofy stuff. So what did you do?
Well, we went to a drive-through with Kevin James in my ear.
They had you in a headset.
I could only speak what was spoken into my ear. And it got a little crazy. I can't remember the exact words Kevin kept speaking to me, but I know they weren't good. I know it didn't make sense.
We had a little thing that was that we play coming back from commercials that was you. I always played the stuff that had your voice on it. And it was like, Jay had told you to say, do you do a 32 ounce? And then you're like, do you do two 16 ounces? And the girl's like, yeah, we can do that. And he's like, do you do 4 8 ounces? And they kept on doing it all the way down. So I was like, do you have 32 1 ounce coffee drinks? And the girl was like, what are you doing? But everything they said to you, you had to say, and you did it. And so we did that thing. You were a great sport. The girls are... Once the girls figure out they're on the radio, they love it. But in the moment, they don't.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine what was going through their heads. Who is this creep at the drive-thru right now, and how do we get him out of here?
So you get done with that. Now the part that wasn't on the radio, you get done with that, and we go back to the building, and it has been met with huge success for the show. The people listening to the radio, Dalton, they loved you. Anytime you were on, they loved you. And they loved that segment because it's very fun, and you had fun with it. People who don't have fun with it, it's hard to do those segments because then the listeners feel like you were bullying someone, and that's a problem because then everyone turns on you. So you need someone like Dalton who embraces it, understands the fun of it, and so they liked it. And so I think everything's good. I get a message immediately when the show's done from our boss. And I thought it was going to say, I opened it thinking, great job today, boys.
That was a great segment.
Great job today. Well done. Listen to it. Funny. Everyone loved it. People are talking about it. Well done. No. Come to my office. Okay, well, maybe there's still a chance that it's going to be in person. Good job.
Yeah.
You had an employee. And I don't want to come across bad at the boss for this because I think this is just doing due diligence. It's the stuff we don't think about, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You had someone, an employee, on the phone making a phone call while they were driving, and this was right in the middle of all of the world trying to figure out what was legal and not legal with your car and the phone.
Yeah.
All right. So we're in the middle of it. Like, click it or ticket is hot at this time. And we've got you driving around Spokane because you had to drive around the block a few times
with my cell phone
and
right in my hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was
not
like,
great.
oh, and it was like, you can't do that. The employee's going to get a ticket. Then they're going to get in trouble. Then they're going to come after us. I'm like, it's Dalton. They're like, he doesn't matter. It could be anyone.
Man.
I'm like, that, but that was a fun radio one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
yeah, that segment probably could have been better had I been pulled over and Kevin was in my ears.
And had you sued the pants off? You sued the pants off the Jay and Kevin show?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Jay has to lose.
I'd be in a 3-story house down here in Florida.
Yeah, you would. I'd have to move in. I'd have to move down there with you. So I'll give you one. I'll give you a story. And I've been thinking about this for the last hour, if I should say his name or not. We both like the guy.
Use a different name. Use a different name.
Can we say we both liked this guy though? He was one of my favorite people to work with.
Oh, he was a big sports guy.
Yeah.
I loved that about him.
And he also, like, I don't know, he would give, and I don't want to say his name because I don't think needs to be in trouble for anything. But
okay.
But he would always give just enough crap that it was like, he kept you on your toes. And I always loved that about him. So it is his very first day working a remote broadcast. So when you get hired as a promo tech, one of your jobs is to go out to these radio events, set up a tent. We used to have to banner. You guys avoided that somehow. You set up a tent. You set up a table. you just make this outside of a business, and you make it look presentable. So when people are driving by, they feel
inclined to stop.
Yeah.
And
so you and I worked both sides of this. You and I both started off setting all this stuff up, and then we worked into the people who are the quote, the talent who people are coming out to see. And I don't even, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but for the main podcast, the short version, is driving out with me. It is a snowstorm. We are driving out to this place out by Airway Heights, and we're in the truck. He needs to take a very sharp left-handed turn, very sharp, 90 degree. And is talking to me. He's nervous because it's his first day.
Yeah.
And he doesn't realize it's snowing. And he hits the brake and nothing happens. We go off the road. We go about 20 feet off the road. And there is a sign that, like those signs with the big yellow arrow, the big yellow signs with the black arrow, like turn.
Yeah.
We just went bam. We went right through it. Like it didn't stand a chance. We blew it up. This is his first day on the job. And
what an awful experience.
So I'm panicked. And he's like, do we need to call anyone? And it's me. I'm like, no. Dalton, I'm always in trouble in the building. No, absolutely not. We're not calling anyone.
Yeah.
We got to get this thing unstuck now. The freeway's right next to us. We need no people to see this gigantic truck that says Coyote Country on the side off the road over a sign. Somehow we pushed it out of the snow and we just drove off. Never said a word. Never said a word.
You got there on time. That's it.
We might have been a couple minutes late, but it is. That's how it goes. And then you just say like, "Oh, it was snowing out. Sorry, Dishman Dodge. It was snowing out."
We're there.
Wow. Those things. Remotes were tough though, man. They were tough. They were.
Wrecking a station vehicle on your first day. Huh?
Did you ever break anything at the building?
Nothing that comes to mind, man. I was pretty good.
Okay.
I think I was good. Maybe a few tables or tents, but
did you ever take anything from the building?
Oh, tons of radio swag. Are you kidding me?
Oh man, how many? I had so many.
Would
shirts.
you not?
Oh
yeah. Oh, shirts, hoodies.
Dalton, I'm going to tell you, I had 5,000 Coyote Country hoodies.
Yeah.
Because I'd go to an event and I'd always forget to have swag on, and then I'd feel guilty when I got there. I'm like, I'll just take another hoodie. And then you're like, I have 50,000 hoodies. Now, this is not great. Well, whatever. Statute of limitations. Kev, if you're listening to this, don't be mad.
Yeah.
I would take the hoodies back and put them back. Some washed, some not
Wow.
washed. So I'd wear them for
Wow.
like a couple, and I'd be like, we're running low on hoodies. And I would realize I had 15 of them at my house. And I'd grab
Fold it
them.
up and
Well, as folded as they could be when you're in your early 30s and single. And I would just bring them back, and I'm like, you'd hand them to some guy who'd come by or some gal who'd come by. They're so excited. I'm like, oh, yeah, that one was out at Bracho's last week. So
sorry for the smell.
Yeah, I don't know what you just got, but you got it. We had soft drinks, canned soft drinks in the downstairs garage. The amount of those things that I took over the course of my time working at KXOY.
I would once a day I'd go down there and grab a soda.
If I ever get rich somehow, I will send Terry, our boss, a check, just $1,000 check that says 4 soda pop. And then and hopefully she gets a chuckle out of it. I think she liked both of us enough that she put up with all our shenanigans. I think if we had a boss that didn't like us, for sure I would have been fired. But you might have been close a couple. I don't know that you ever really got close. Everyone liked you at the building.
Yeah, and you got to stay under the radar, man.
I didn't like that
the
part.
Big thing.
I didn't like that.
I know. Yeah, I know you didn't.
I didn't like that. I like to be right there, right where the radar. If the radar was there, it meant I was doing something. It meant things were cooking. I love that place. But I thought it was fun. Steve asked about the radio stuff. Continuing on, I don't know if I'm going to. I hope you get in there somewhere. What was the most? Because I think people look at it and they go, "Okay, that's a very fun job." What was the worst part of our jobs? So that people know there was stuff that really stunk.
It might be different for me and you, but waking up early.
Oh,
I struggled
brutal.
with that, man.
You had to be there at 8:00 and you were late all the time.
Yeah, I can't even be in there at 5:30 when I would help with your guys' show during food drives. Ah, man.
Dalton,
yeah.
Your voicemail is still about you being late. Isn't it? Isn't your voicemail still like, if I'm late, GA?
Yeah, sorry. I was late on quite a few occasions. I will say that.
I did always feel bad because Dalton, I always wanted you on the show. I thought you were a very valuable part of our entertainment that we could provide. And I remember just being like, I have to ask him to help us out at 7 a.m. And I know that's going to piss him off, and I know he doesn't want to, but I need him on the radio. And I always felt so bad. You'd come in, and it looked like,
do it though,
dude. It looked like you had fought a gorilla to get to work.
Oh yeah, I was staying up till 2, 3 in the morning, and still waking up 7:30.
Your voice for the first 5 minutes was always my favorite. It would just be like, it wouldn't be there. We'd ask you questions and and I would like, I haven't had it. I haven't had my coffee yet. I haven't had my drink. And you drank it black. You drank the black coffee.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just.
I'd be even bigger if I had sugar and half with all the coffee I drank there. Holy smokes.
We went after it. Okay, well, thanks for coming on the podcast. I'm going to keep you for our Patreon.
Yeah.
You're about to do a long episode where we're just about to talk about all sorts of stuff, all right? But thank you for coming on the podcast, Dalton. And we're going to do it more often. I just wanted to do a couple radio things. But thank you. Love that guy. Thank you, Dalton, for making time, coming on the podcast. The best. And if you want to hear more from Dalton, we put up our first Patreon episode. For those of you who support the show on Patreon, like Mandy, like Michael, like Charles, like Dan, like Curdy, and others who took the time to go over to patreon.com/Sean Widmer podcast and became a member of the Patreon. Help support the podcast means a lot to me. If you like the podcast, you want to help support it, that would be awesome. That's the place to do it. And on the weekends, you're going to get bonus content, bonus episodes. You get an extended 40-minute chat with Dalton this week where we just talk about radio stuff. We talk about tech decks. We talk about video games. We talk about TV shows. I ask him questions about him smooching people, really pry into his personal life. So if you want to hear that stuff, that's on the Patreon this week. I think my wife is going to be on the bonus episode this coming up weekend, and those are available to the people who support the show, again, over on Patreon. Ian said this. We normally do comments at the end, but I'll read one now. Thoroughly enjoyed the Patreon episode. From the OG fidget spinner to video game talk to everything else in between. He said he's definitely stealing some of the audio for a TikTok. Thank you, Ian. Man, I have got to get rid of this cold and cough. I'm over it. I don't even feel bad anymore. It's just everything's killing me right now. So thank you, Ian, for that. I thought it was enjoyable, and hopefully the people who are supporting the show did as well. Let's do it, shall we?
Kelly's, what are you into?
I might have had that a little loud. That might have blown my eardrums off. Real professional here. Real professional. I had the volume turned up. I could only record my son at one volume, low. And then it came back to bite me. As Kelly's, what are you into? He screams into my ear. What are we into at the Widmer house? We are into garage sailing. That's right. It's garage sale season here in Lexington as spring hits, and we are now in business. Legos. Why? We went out. My wife had a mission to find summer clothes for the kids. Great place to find clothes, garage sales. It was a huge success for my daughter. Apparently, everyone in our neighborhood has girls. There's a million girls in our neighborhood. My daughter came back with 5 to 20 new outfits for $10. We crushed it when it came to Olivia. Not a single bit of boys' clothes out there. Everyone here has girls. So bummer for Huck, great for Olivia. My wife was pumped about it, though. We found some great stuff for her in that regard. We were also kind of looking for some furniture with the house. You know, we got rid of a lot of stuff when we moved here, and there's things we need to replace. And so we were kind of garage sailing, looking for some furniture stuff. Didn't really find anything there. I spent the entire day looking for Legos because I just want to start building up a Lego collection here for the kids. Oh my gosh. I had not been to a garage sale looking for Legos. I've done a couple bags. So I would walk up, I'd see the bag on the table, and I'd sprint over to it. I'm going to get this bag of Legos. There was one of them. It was a Friends, Legos Friends. It's a like pink and purple. Like, my daughter would love it. Colored Legos, and they've got a beauty salon and all these cool little things you can put together. $95 for one of them in a Ziploc bag. The other one was $65 in just a Ziploc bag. No instructions, just the pieces. And I thought, this is what Legos are. Legos that you no longer in America can find a reasonably priced Legos. They've always been expensive in the store, but you used to be able to at least sometimes find some at a garage sale, because I remember getting some one time as an adult at a garage sale, and they were nothing. Now they take Beanie Babies and just slap them across the face. Beanie Babies, you have no value compared to Legos. Legos is the toy that has retained all its value. So I was extremely unsuccessful this week, and I could not believe how they have retained their power. Legos. $95 for a set of Legos in just a Ziploc bag. Amazing. My mom has my Legos at her house. She's sitting on like $50,000 worth of product right there, Mom. You should sell that stuff. What am I going to do? It's at your house now. You can just always, if I ever ask, hey, where are my Legos? Just switch the subject. Let's get into the comments, shall we? I think we have one today, and it comes from Roberta. It comes from Roberta. Roberta says this: I've never been a drink maker either, in regards to us talking to Darnay about upping our mixology game. She says, ask Darnay what type or brand he recommends for the drinks you wish to make your signature drinks. It sounds as though he has the experience to recommend the right one for you, for the use you are putting it to. He does. He's very smart, and he is very hoity-toity. Let's just call a spade a spade. Darnay, you have very expensive taste. You like Edison lights. So, you like Edison lights, you like expensive drinks, but Darnay is the best, and I will ask him. I need him to help me make a signature drink. The problem is, if I ask Darnay, I need someone else to ask Darnay about a signature drink, because if I ask him, he knows me too well, and he'll be like, Gatorade, the cheapest vodka you can find, and sugar cubes, and like a bunch of pixie sticks. He's like, that's a Sean Widmer signature drink. So I need to have someone else reach out and get that done for me. Thank you, Roberta, for your comments. If you want to comment on the podcast, you can do that. Go to seanslife.com, SEAN, seanslife.com, big comment box right there in the front page. You can listen. If you're on Spotify listening, you can go to today's episode and you can enter the Q&A section. That comment will get to me. Or if you're watching on YouTube, just comment in the comment section, and bada boom, bada bing, we read those comments at the end of the next episode. You can also, because I noticed we did get a 5-star review the other day, and it had a comment, and I can't find it. So you can also old school, the old school push. You can 5-star review this bad boy on iTunes. For the iTunes people out there who want to comment, that's going to be the way to do it. We'll read your comments off of iTunes. I wanted to make sure iTunes was represented because iTunes and Spotify, the two big ones, I know they're not the only ones, but the two big ones, let's get them all covered. All right, thank you so much for listening today. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed Dalton, and we'll be back on Wednesday.